Hi everybody, and welcome to Victoria's World. Today I'm going to talk about a subject I haven't talked about before. I'm positive on this. In recognition of Pride Month, I'm going to talk about transgenders and transgender myths. Girl, lay down, please. Mommy's busy. Thank you. I have a few transgender friends, and some of them have a hard life and some don't. I'm not transgender. I don't consider myself transgender. I'm female. Okay? If anybody's wondering. Okay? So I go by female and woman, 100%. Okay? There's nothing wrong with being transgender anyway. I mean, like I said, my friends, they're very proud of who they are. And they should be. They are very, very courageous people. And I'm very proud of them. They go through a lot, you know. I mean, you know how the way the world is. It's so much closed-minded and prejudiced and everything, and it's same with transgenders as well. Even more. They get it all. They get dumped out on everything. It's not right. There is a lot of support for them, and I appreciate that in the communities. I support them very well. Thank you. Now, let's talk about them a little bit, okay? The word transgender. I don't like that term anyhow because it's such a big umbrella term about so many things. You know, it means basically the definition is that somebody does not identify with the sex they were born with. Okay? If they were born with male parts but they see themselves as female, or the other way around. They should be able to live that way. Why? Why not? Are they harming anybody? And they really believe they are female or male, depending on if they're male to female or female to male. Nobody has the right to tell them that they're not that way. Not even science. I'm sorry. How would you feel, I mean, if you woke up and you, I mean, your heart is, I'm saying from female to male, or no, male to female, okay? A trans female. If you woke up one day and you saw that you're female, your heart says you're female, your soul says you're female, your brain says you're female, but if everybody tells you you're male, not everybody, but several people tell you you're male, because of certain body parts that don't seem to match. I consider those body parts nothing more than birth defects. Parts that don't belong to the individual. I'm not going to talk about religion here. I don't care what God says about this. I know what God says about this. God loves everybody, whoever they are and whatever they want. Whatever they want to do. He loves everybody. You know? I'm just going to go with that, okay? Now, let's go with some myths here. Okay? I've been accused of being trans a few times. Not often, but a few times. Why? Because I don't have a high voice. You know, I don't got that high-pitched female voice. There are a lot of women out there that don't have such a voice. The only reason they're identified as trans now or called trans is because trans came out. They're out of the closet now. They're not afraid as much as they used to be. In the past, they all hid. I could name several famous women in the past that had very low voices. And yet they weren't called trans. They were called as sexy females with nice sexy voices. That's great. Now they're labeled trans. That's wrong. That's very wrong. Talk about height. The average woman's height is about 5'5", 5'4". Okay, so if you're tall, does that make you trans? Does that make all these basketball teams, women basketball teams, make them all trans? I have a girlfriend of mine who lives in Greece. She is trans. She was born with a few defective body parts. That's how I would identify it. Okay? I don't care about XX, XY, XQ, XZ, X whatever. I don't care about that. They don't define a person. I don't care. I mean, I'll probably get a lot of flack from this, but I don't give a shit. A person's heart, a person's mind, a person's soul defines who that person is. Not by what this person has on his body. Or what kind of organs they got, or whatever. Okay, I hear a lot of people laughing out there, ha ha, then you think you're a fish, you think you're a bird, you think you're whatever. You're a rock. Okay? Let's all be silly here. Let's all be stupid. It's a big difference here. Okay? Cis female. Cis female is a cisgender. It's a definition of a woman or a guy who's born with their proper body parts to match how they feel about themselves. Okay? We'll talk about them for a second, okay? There are a lot of cis women out there. Not a lot, but there are several cis women that can't have babies. Does that make them trans? Does that make them not real women? I don't think so. There are women out there that were born with some other defects as well, where they don't have periods or anything. Does that make them less a woman? I don't think so. Some women are very tall. Does it make them less of a woman? I don't think so. Not every woman has a big hourglass figure or the big proportions. Does that make them less of a woman? I don't think so. Now all this stuff would relate the other way if you're female to male, okay? Except it would be, I'm just using male to female as a reference here, okay? Because most of my friends are that way, that I know. Okay? That's why I'm using it for reference. Like I said before, if you have a low voice, does that make you less of a female? I don't think so. This is going to be a long video. If you don't want to put up with it, fine, shut it off. I have a lot to say tonight. I haven't talked about this subject much, and I probably won't talk about it much. It shouldn't have to be talked about. People should understand and should realize that a trans female is as much female or woman as any cis male, female. Just as much. Don't go start planting science or God or anything else into my head or anybody else's head. Not gonna fly. Okay? This world has got to get its act together. It's all screwed up. It's getting better. It's getting better. I think that most of the generations are passing now that I think the old ways. It's going to get better as time goes on. Oh, there's one thing I didn't really cover here, and that's there are people who just pretend to be women, or the other way around. It's mostly pretending to be women. A fantasy of them. They're called cross-dressers. Okay, that's fine. If people want to be that way, that's fine. But they pretend they're women. They want to be women for a little while, and then they want to go back to their old life. Okay. You know, the performers like that, to do that, they like to entertain. The job, the act, the pretend is somebody they're not. Don't go label true trans girls as cross-dressers or anything like that. It's a total insult. Because they believe they are women born from day one. And they will do anything to live up to their reputation of being who they are, like any other person would. They're not acting, they're not faking. They are being who they are. Cross-dressers make it, I mean, nothing against cross-dressers, okay? But they give a bad reputation to the people who really believe they are who they are. Very bad reputation. It's not right. So next time, watch before you know, just don't go speaking out against people because they say, oh look, there's a guy dressed as a girl. Cross-dresser. I hope you had enough of an education tonight to know what's right and what's wrong. Okay? Let me also do a few other things too about myths. Females don't have Adam's apples. That's a myth. Females do have Adam's apples. Not as big as the males, but they got them. Some cis females have pretty big ones too, and they've been accused of being trans because of it. People just got to get the people got to get an education here. Okay, instead of assuming things, assuming what they read is true or what they hear. Okay, it's very important if this world is going to survive. Some I know. I mean, when girls go out dancing and everything, I know several girls that the reason why they're clocked, that clock is a term I mean that they are figured out as trans, is because the way they dress up as they go out. They dress to the hilt. They dress very sexy, even if it's not a very sexy situation or a situation where people usually dress down, but they dress up. They do that because they missed a lot in their lives, especially the older ones. And they want to experience the same enjoyment as any other female had or has. So they got to catch up. So they got to do these things later in life. when others have done it already and they don't really do that kind of life anymore. So they're clocked as trans. Not right. Not right at all. I mean, I go out there dressed to the hill. I'm not trans. I'd like to dress up. Am I crying? I don't think so. The world's crazy. It really is. Now let's talk about some other myths here. I mean, trans are out to conquer the world. You know? They're out to change everything so it's their way. Bullshit. Trans are just out there to live their life like anybody else. And they got a hard life and a hard path to follow. Very hard. They gotta be the way they are to survive. The way the world is, what do you expect them to do? They just want to have a normal life like anybody else. If everybody treated them as equal, and I'm not even talking about just trans, I'm talking about anything. Gays, queers, whatever. If everybody was treated equal, you wouldn't have this problem. You wouldn't have any of these problems in the world. But no. The world's got to be selfish and the world's got to have problems. It's a shame. It really is. I've talked about this many times in all of my videos. Let me ask you something. You talk about courage with a trans girl, you know, and when you say not courage, okay, well it's part of it, but anybody who has the balls to say that she's not a real woman, in my opinion, should go to hell. I'm sorry. There are more women than born cis females, in my opinion, in certain cases. Not all cases, in some. If somebody was considered really a man, okay, go with their philosophy. You're not me a woman, you're a man. Would a man have his thing below cut off? His pride and joy, would he have it cut off and replaced? Do you know how much pain there is? Do you know how much of a sacrifice that is? For a person who really believes they're female, it's not a sacrifice or anything. It's just correcting a situation. It's making them more their true self. It's getting rid of a birth defect. And nobody's ever going to tell me that if a trans is not real female. They are so dead wrong about this. The bullshit that trans have to go through is amazing. You wonder why the suicide rate is so high with trans. Over 40%. It's not that they don't like themselves, they're ashamed of themselves. They're not. They're very proud of themselves. Where do you think the word pride comes from? Put it together here. 2 and 2. Okay? They commit suicide because they get no support. They get no love. They get hate. They get everything against them. An individual who's not that strong could only take so much of it before they can't take it anymore. In any situation. That's why the suicide rate is so high. If they were accepted for who they are, that suicide rate would practically drop to 0. I guarantee it. Transgenders don't kill themselves. Other people kill them. That's a known fact. I'm sorry if I'm getting emotional about this. If anybody ever watches my videos and anything knows the kind of girl I am. I don't like anybody to be mistreated for who they are. And right now, transgenders is on the top of the list because they get beat up the most. This world is sick. It really is. Getting better though. There is hope. But without people to speak out and say things, there is no hope. So next time you see a transgender girl or whatever, first of all, let me say these things too, okay? Don't say these things to a transgender girl, okay? First of all, they don't even like the word transgender, okay? Most of them don't, okay? Just call them female. Just call them female, woman. Like any other female. Just treat them that way. Don't ask them, how does it feel to be this way? Don't give them sympathy. They don't need that. They just need your love. Just treat them normal. And they'll love you for it. Sorry, I'm getting emotional here. They go through a lot of shit. They sure do. Some of them are kind of lucky. Some of them, you know, they were born physically a little bit more female looking than others. So their transition is different. Now when I talk about transition, I mean, I don't like that word transition either. For a lot of females I know, transgender girls, the only reason I'm using that transgender is because that's how the society defines things. So I have to use a reference point, okay? Okay, the reason why, oh God, I lost my train of thought here. Transgenders should be treated just like anybody. I don't like the word transgender, by the way, like I said. This means transition from one form to another. Transition from male to female. There are a lot of transgender girls out there. Like I said, I'm just using that term because that's what it's identified with. That never believe, I'm saying male to female, never believed they were male in the first place. Never. They're only adjusting their body, their mind, their way of life to their true self. If you want to call that transition, fine. But they're not transitioning from a male form to a female form. Let's get that straight, okay? I don't care what biology says. I don't care what frickin' X and Y says or anything like that. They were born with defective body parts, parts that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And thank God the way science is and everything these days, a lot of these things can get corrected. And in time, all of them will get corrected. It's not going to be too long in the future. It's already being done now. When people are born without a uterus, or born without the proper parts to have babies, they're going to get them. And they're going to be able to have their babies. They're going to get their birth defects corrected so they could live the true life as they see how they are. That's going to be a wonderful day when that day comes. I mean, some of you don't understand this. Okay, I can understand that, but unless you are considered transgender and you know how it is to go through a life of trapped in the incorrect body, you will never understand. You can't. So, I want you to think about this, okay? I'm sure there are going to be a bunch of idiots or some idiots out there or whatever, closed-minded people. Then no matter what I say about transgenders, they're going to have their opinion, which is fine. And you're going to knock them down. Knock people down. And say, oh, you're transgender people are not really female or male. Well, God's going to send them to hell. They're going to be so damn brainwashed and closed-minded in their thinking that they're never going to change. I feel sorry for those people. They're going to wake up someday. God will fix them. God loves everybody. So if you're transgender out there, don't worry. God loves you just as much as anybody else. Don't let anybody tell you it's not true. Even the Catholic Church these days, they just came out with a statement recently about it. You know? Shame on them. Judging people. They're screwed up anyway. Jesus knows how priests are, how religious is. He didn't have a lot of good things to say about them back then. No, he said there would be a lot of hypocrites out there. And it was them, at the organizations of religion and everything, the ones that got him crucified. This screwy road. This road is so screwed up. It's ridiculous. But there's hope. It really is. You know? So, the best thing you can do when you meet if you meet a transgender or whatever, or you think this person is transgender or whatever, don't go saying stupid things like, what are you? Or who are you? Or how does it feel to be this way? They don't want to hear stupid questions like that. Just treat them as how they see themselves. And how they really are. They'll be very happy about that. I guarantee it. This would be a much happier world if everybody just loved everybody and didn't try to change who they were. Just because of what a book says, or what science says, or what anything says. This would be a much better world. I'm positive on that too. Oh, so many things I'm positive about. Okay? Yeah, Victoria's at the call tonight here. Well, it's still daytime here, but I'm dressed in my leggings because it's cold out there. It's only like 52 degrees outside. It's freezing. My heat came on today. Not good. You know, I still got my sandals on. No, when it comes from April on, I wear these all the time. You know, not to show off my feet. Okay? You be good. Victoria loves you. And before I sign off, like I said, just think of what I said about tonight, talked about tonight, and don't worry about people, handicaps, okay? People consider trans people handicaps in a way, and because they don't act as normal or whatever, or they don't do as normal things. It's what society thinks should be done, you know? It's not right, but it's the way it is. A handicapped person doesn't want to be looked at as different. They want to be just treated as anybody else. So you go out there and you treat everybody the same, and you will be happy, they will be happy, and it'll be a much happier world. That is for sure. Victoria loves you all so much. Be good. Love you so much. And keep smiling.